I feel like that's an interesting thing for my listeners to sort of think about, is that, what is your underlying belief about what kind of relationship you're supposed to be having with your healthcare provider?
Yeah. And and to be clear, one, I'm not a doctor, right? So just to
Right.
set,
Yes. You have to
say
have a
that out.
doctor also.
Um, yeah, right. You do. Um, and I also just feel like I should say, like, I don't think doctors or any of these other professionals are bad. They're usually working in the same crappy systems that we are.
Hmm.
And I think most of them would actually, at least when you go back to before they were like made cynical by their experiences, most people want to have relationships like this. But it is so time and resource intensive, and our systems are not set up for it, that it's almost impossible to do. So even if you find somebody who's willing to do it with you,
Yeah.
just like structurally, it's incredibly hard. And the reason I say that is not just to be like, I don't know, protecting doctors, like that's not it. It's like when we go into dealing with our consultants, right? Our consultants that we are hiring to give us information about
Hmm.
ourselves or to provide, services to us, we have to go in kind of realistically, because if we go in with the wrong expectations, we're just going to get further burned.
Yeah.
Um, and we have to be strategic within the systems. Like, and I think anybody who has dealt with any chronic condition knows this, whether implicitly or explicitly. Like, we get to a point where it's like, okay, I know that this is the way I need to tell my story. This is the way I have to pretend to not know things about this so that I don't step on anyone's ego. Like the various strategies that we have to do. So it's like, yeah, I want to think about like what relationship do I really need to figure these things out? And then
Hmm.
also among the relationships I already have and the treatments I need and blah, 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 I also have to think about like strategically, how can I get the most of that possible?
Right. Get as much as I need. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And I recognize like my role, my services are like they're not terribly accessible for that reason, right? Because they are intensive. So only people who have a certain amount of financial resource are able to pay me, and I have bills to pay too. So,
Right.
that part sucks. And it's also part of why I've created the posture detox and I'm working on some other things, is to try to make those things more accessible.